Thank you everyone for joining me today for our webinar to discuss digitalizing your ocean freight booking. So we've gone through a survey of our current customers, and they have discussed with us about some of the questions and some of the things that they are interested to find out more. And the digital bookings was one of these criteria. And whether you book your shipments directly with ocean carriers today or use a third party, this will be effective for you. And what we've seen is that the ocean freight industry is finally evolving with the digital age. It has been aiming to create a better digital standard for containerized shipping, which means shippers need to familiarize themselves with all solutions. We're hearing and we're seeing how ocean carriers are now integrating digital services to offer customers more access to their shipments. In fact, there's a study done by the McKinsey Group that found the trend toward digitization in ocean cargo and freight forwarding is unstoppable. And they're saying that the incumbents need to keep pace. They really emphasize that everyone involved in the logistics industry and supply chain needs to fully digitize their process and operations. So based on that, today we'll be discussing the ocean freight booking process, the gaps that the traditional methods produce, and the need to look at digital options already available to everyone. So whether you are an importer, exporter, forwarder, or 3PL, broker, or even agent, we believe that full digitization of your processes will be the only way companies can keep pace with this logistical roller coaster that we're in today. And it is through technology and digitalization that we can address the common pain points within our industry, such as price transparency, unexpected charges, invoice errors, delays, of course, the lack of efficiency, and really the limited visibility and tracking that we have in our current industry. Even now, we are seeing venture capital putting more money into this space at an increasing rate. According to the VC research from PitchBook, the data shows that since 2013, over $585 million has been put into our maritime technology space. I mean, this is why we're seeing so many companies trying to develop new solutions to help us navigate through the complex world we call international logistics. In just the last few years, we're seeing companies and businesses come together, such as the Digital Container Shipping Association, or the DCSA, which has in their company message, they say, we are focused on creating an industry-agreed standardization on data and interfaces to enable the ocean transportation industry and partners to deliver information faster and more precise in terms of timeliness, automation, and shipper experience. So if the DCSA is successful in their mission, can you really imagine, or can you imagine, if we had a set standard for all the carriers, the ports, terminals, truckers, and the rail to have a standard set of data that will allow them to communicate all via one system? I mean, if that was the case, with what we're trying to achieve today to get complete end-to-end visibility, we're going to be that much closer. I mean, there's so many different levels of digitalization happening now. And another one that we're seeing are corporate partnerships, such as TradeLens, which has been developed jointly by IBM Maersk, and their focus is on blockchain. And so through blockchain, they're trying to provide a mechanism for tracking goods, from factory or field to delivery. They're also creating APIs, so that other companies can build new applications on top of their platform. So as you can see, they're really trying to create a set of standards to facilitate data sharing among the different entities in the supply chain. So for customs, for ports again, and even the shipping companies. Again, if they can be successful here, this will benefit all parties involved in international logistics. This will allow, again, for better communication, more transparency, and better communication amongst all the different parties involved. It'll try to take that complex animal that we have to deal with today and just make it a little bit less. Of course, we're also, from all that venture capital money coming in, there's a lot of different startups, like Turbo and Forkites. They've been trying to develop solutions that can enhance shipper processes and day-to-day operations. It's through these type of associations, these startups, these companies focus and push toward digitalization that's really shining a light on our industry, and it's helping us move forward. And we believe this progress is an absolutely necessary step for the container shipping industry, because we believe this step forward will greatly impact our supply chain. With all this technology and digital standards being developed, what does that really mean? How will this impact us? Well, in 2018, the Boston Consulting Group analyzed the digital disruptions and found 7 digital trends that will transform the ocean cargo industry. Of these 7, we believe that there are 4 digital disruptions that will grow the fastest and have the greatest impact in the next few years. The first, we believe, is the ocean cargo and trucking platforms that will allow parties to communicate with each other. Whether it's selling and buying ocean freight space, tendering truckloads, offering cargo insurance, or even freight financing, there's going to be a shift toward these global marketplaces, and it'll allow all the parties along the supply chain to interact within a single platform and creating what we like to call an interactive logistics community. The next disruptive trend that we see will be will be involved with all the available data elements that's going to be out there in the market, and how you can use that to your advantage, from capacity management to using historical booking data, current shipment trends, cargo demand indicators. Companies will be able to use these advanced analytics to plan, forecast, and assign their shipments dynamically. The data that will become readily available will really allow the industry players to identify, monitor, and really accurately predict shipment changes, and hopefully help you respond accordingly. And finally, things like AI, machine learning, and blockchain can help test the accuracy of these predictions that are going to be made. And because as it'll match it against actual bookings, and we'll even be able to introduce new types of forecasting algorithms that will be super accurate with the more clear and secure data from these elements. So really, through these digital trends, we will see not just an impact on the entire supply chain, but I believe it will be a complete evolution to how the daily operations will be done in the international logistics industry. One of the many things we have noted through our experiences and talking with our own customers and partners is that all parties involved in the supply chain are demanding for more transparency, efficiency, and consistency. A report produced in 2018, again by the McKinsey Global Institute, they highlighted the lack of digital solutions within our industry. In fact, their report states that if companies are able to automate their processes through digitization, productivity in sales and customer service can be increased by up to 30%. I mean, that's, in my mind, that would play significant impact on any business. 30% increase in sales or 30% increase in customer service would be huge. And I don't see why any company would be unwilling to tap that potential. And unfortunately, right now, since traditionally, right, our industry does rely on personal relationships and direct communication to get cargo moving. And along with the complexity of the entire supply chain, there really has just been a lack by companies to prioritize digitalizing their processes. Though I understand that the face-to-face relationships between the ocean carrier and shipper or forwarder and shipper will still be necessary. The change to digitize and automate many of our current shipment processes really needs to happen so that shipments can move faster and at a lower cost. So we believe that one of the first steps toward digitalization of your supply chain is to focus on your digital bookings. Okay, so digitizing this process will allow carriers and forwarders, right, to focus on providing better value-added services to make sure your shipment arrives quickly and on time. But we know that in the current market, shipment statuses are still very unpredictable and unreliable. In fact, there's a quote by Kim Vaccaro, who's the head of international logistics at Home Depot. She stated, "We need more predictability and consistency. It's been increasingly more difficult to have a predictable supply chain." And she's not wrong. It's getting worse and worse. And with changes happening all the time by so many different parties, it's super important that you start to plan, especially now, and especially at this time when companies are being very active to provide technology solutions, to jump in and start to convert. And so let's take a look at how booking can really, how booking digitally can help your business. So why should you book digitally? And we all know, right, that international transportation or international logistics, as I mentioned, is a complex animal. There's so many different parties involved. A case study actually that was presented by MERS found that a single shipment can involve as many as 200 documents and 30 different entities. So there is definitely ample room to improve this. And one of the themes through digitalization has been to address costly booking delays and minimize the number of contact points. In the old traditional model, right, shippers would just negotiate directly with ocean carriers for the contract rate and space. Then they would pass that quote or contract to a third party, like a booking agent or their shipper, to handle that booking and the shipment of their cargo. But as we know, and currently probably in your own business, most shippers have multiple carrier partners, multiple booking agents, suppliers, forwarders, and brokers involved. So there's a lot of different entities involved. And many of the shippers that face delays can be due to an error by any of these members involved, because you have different shipments assigned to different parties and being shipped sometimes on a weekly basis. These things can fall through the cracks, and the error can just be done by one person. And if it starts right at the booking, like at booking, then it will just trickle down and impact the entire shipment. So the shipper really has a very limited control and transparency to their booking, as they rely on all the members involved. They then react just too late, which ultimately creates a costly booking mistake. It was a Gartner study that we kind of looked at that explained that web-based portals can address the time-consuming process of booking ocean freight into a near instantaneous consumer-like experience. I mean, that's really important to note. It's in fact, their study, right, says though the new web-based portals may or may not offer better rates than what can be found through a forwarder, but they emphasize that this model does save time. It allows the shipper to be more proactive with their shipments and be able to respond quicker to their customers who may be waiting on the information for either sales or customer service reasons. So ultimately, saving on these costly mistakes and reducing the delays I believe should be enough reason to book all your shipments digitally. And there's a lot of options out there for you. You know, right now, let's first take a look at the first. Let's take a look at the first level, which of course is at the ocean carrier level. Um, Currently, the larger ocean carriers are moving with the digital trend. You know, they're developing new platform solutions, responding to shipper demand for more convenience. You know, we have carriers such as Maersk, CMA, Hapag, OCL, and Evergreen, and more. You know, that have begun to see uh, this this need and have begun to move with this evolution within the ocean carrier community. Many of the carriers now have some form of a online rate request, you know, but it's mostly simply to facilitate a request for a quote online, which is then kind of followed up by an email or a phone call, which can often take a day or even more. And so if you have shipments or hot shipments, urgent shipments, you know, things that pop up, spot shipments, you know, you can't wait too long. You need to get the quote, you need to get the booking done immediately. So some ocean carriers are taking a big step in enhancing that quoting and booking process. You know, as Maersk CEO Soren Sko announced this year at the TPM conference in Long Beach, it's time to make the once painful process of booking ocean freight as easy as sending a parcel or getting a plane ticket. I mean, that's super important. I mean, if the ocean carrier, one of the largest ocean carriers in the world, is starting to move in that direction, then everyone should be listening, you know? And that is exactly what Maersk is trying to do. You know, from this table, you can see that Maersk is on the forefront, right, to offer as many digital and online services to their customers. And CMA is not far behind. They followed suit, and they're actually offering even more types of online services. You know, both carriers offer a simpler, more seamless way to make your ocean booking. They allow you to have access to real-time schedules so that a user can make a request for a quote on a particular service that they found, and they'll get that quote in a matter of minutes. And once they get that quote, they like the all-in rate, they'll be able to turn that into a booking immediately. You know, this spot quote immediate booking confirmation also has what they're saying protected space and a priority load associated, which means that their booking is absolutely secure, which in my mind might even sound that it has more security to book on these instant quotes than a contract rate. And it's not to say that these rates will be that much higher than what a contract rate might be. And especially during situations like this current market where you can't get space or you have last minute shipments that need to be booked, let's say next week, this solution will be one of the top alternatives that you can use outside of your contract. So overall, you know, and all the other carriers are starting to see this. So Hapag-Lloyd has done this now. You know, there's rumbles that all the other carriers like Evergreen, like OCL, you know, are considering these options to provide more online services. So overall, you know, simplifying booking and ocean shipment not only will ease the customer experience, it's also going to keep operating costs low. You know, offerings such as this online price quotes, instant confirmations, secured space, and full container tracking will be what we will now consider the new carrier standards. You know, so as we move forward, the overall booking automation move by ocean carriers will really benefit all parties, as many can then start to spend less time booking freight and making booking mistakes, which is the critical issue, you know, costing the majority of the shippers today. But it's not just ocean carriers, right? Now we're also seeing other third parties getting involved. Many of the third party providers have already been offering fully digitized services along with the booking to help streamline the shipment process for shippers. There's been really a growing trend, you know, to provide a complete digital quote and booking platform to shippers and to enable customers to choose online their preferred inland mode of transport and routing, depending on price points and transit time, all accessible from one single interface. Some studies have shown that this complete digital search, quote, and booking process can help reduce a party's time and effort by 30%. And companies that have already begun consolidating and digitizing these services are like Intra, right? They started early in the 2000s, and they're probably one of the biggest players. They have 150 companies that are integrated with its booking and shipping instruction modules. And within its network, it covers 177 countries and 60 different carriers. It's really one of the most common platforms for freight forwarders to make bookings with carriers and even submit shipping instructions as well as electronic verified gross mass information. So they've been around, and they are kind of one of the standards for these platforms, and have one of the largest integrations with all the carriers to show you that you don't have to go to multiple carriers to make a booking and submit your shipping instructions. You can actually all do it from one platform and centralize that. Then, of course, we have the newer players in the marketplace, like the newer shipping exchange, which saves you time and effort by letting you view offers from multiple carriers all at once and all in one place. So similar to Intra, but what they say is that they have the rates available to their customers, and these are offers, what they like to call take it or leave it. So there's no wasted time negotiating with reps or finessing new contracts. The contract rate that you see is what you pay for. And this offer is secure, that matches what you are charged with 100% invoice accuracy. The New York Shipping Exchange really believes that what they're calling standardizing digital contracts between carriers and shippers is an example of the value that could be delivered. So if they are successful, shippers will be able to receive guarantees that their shipments are being given the promised levels of service, rather than saying, being delayed due to overbookings. So they are also moving into a marketplace, or creating a platform for users, for shippers to be able to access rates, current rates, just like the ocean carriers offering you the instant quotes or spot shipment quotes, and be able to book on those immediately and get loaded onto the vessel. So it really does help in this current market, but I think even in the long run as we continue to move forward. Also, we're really seeing a lot of different companies, right, such as Containers, which is what they call a complete ocean freight booking platform. Okay, they advertise that their ability is to provide instant quotes. Again, another seems common topic, and booking capabilities. Typically, they show tariff rates, FAK rates, for example, online that customers can book directly, while offering to negotiate rates with carriers if it's required. And often they'll also take online payments, which can help benefit carriers and reduce paperwork overall. So that's kind of really important, because as you can see, they're adding on top new services along with the booking. As we heard by that quote from the Maersk CEO, if we can start to make ocean cargo or booking as simple or as clear as you making an airline purchase online through Expedia, there's a lot of different things that you can add on top. So for Expedia that have hotels and autos, here are other trade services that you can add on top. So from freight payment direct, or to freight financing, customs, insurance, there's just a lot of different options that you can add on top of it. And it's really exciting to see that evolution for ocean bookings. Finally, we have Zenetta. It's a company focused on creating a platform to offer more transparent pricing. They use smart data agreements and advanced analytics to provide a current spot market rate for port-to-port users. They have what they call a very friendly state-of-the-art interface that's going to allow you to search and get an understanding of what are the rate levels out there and be able to analyze and use their tools to analyze and hopefully plan your budget for your company. So all in all, these neutral platforms are creating solutions to give shippers a better opportunity to get a rate, right? Book it and ship it all in one go. So there's a lot happening and a lot of options available. And so why is that happening? Why are companies like this focusing, and why are carriers focusing on the booking process? Well, because as we know, in the traditional booking method, there's a lot of errors, and those errors are always, and ultimately it comes down to human errors, right? So though what I've been talking about may seem a little bit foreign, some of these solutions may not seem like something that you're familiar with, the reality is that digitizing your booking process not only simplifies it, but it really can help you reduce many of the costly mistakes we see today. The traditional methods used when making a booking can disrupt an entire shipment. In fact, statistics have shown that the occurrence of freight invoice errors is at 35% or more when shipments are manually quoted and booked. These errors make for messy account payable problems and can really impact a company's they can really impact a company financially, especially depending on how long a company has let these mistakes continue. And so the risk of miscommunication needs to be corrected at the booking level, since traditionally, you or your partners are using this vital shipment data to create documentation, like bills of lading, insurance docs, and customs paperwork. They're all details, right, that can be generated through the booking data. And if that's the case, it has to be correct. The booking data has to be corrected before a shipment can be executed. But if the docs are not, and they're based off this erroneous information, because either it was inputted from a call or it was rekeyed in from an email, these errors will just cause huge disruptions that will prevent shipments from getting a confirmed booking, or it's just going to be booked completely wrong, which can cause shipment delays and much, much more. Ultimately, these booking errors will result in additional costs to your companies, right? Costs financially, right, due to higher ocean freight rates that you have to take because of the incorrect booking, or it's going to create delays because of change requests that have to be done, that have to be made after the shipment is ready to go. Or it'll ruin your customer expectations, because of the incorrect routing and the rerouting to a different destination. That's going to cause that customer service level to drop. Or also it can cause legal nightmares, because contracts with ocean carriers have to be corrected and they have to be filed, and then again that could lead up to also other delays. These are just some of the many unforeseen costs that booking errors can cause. Though the booking process itself can, and it really should be a simple process within your supply chain, its influence at the beginning of a shipment can negatively impact your entire shipment, right? It goes, if you get the errors right in the beginning and there's no corrections, only mid-shipment you realize it, your entire shipment can be in chaos, and you're going to have to figure out ways to resolve it, and that's going to take financial burden, it's going to take time, and a lot of different parties to really correct it. So let's take a look at some of these traditional booking errors, and see what are some of these common problems and its impact on your shipment. So the table here represents some of those common errors made at that booking level. The blue column categorizes the parts of the booking the error can be made in, right? And then if you look over here to the right, we'll start to see where and what parts of that shipment are impacted. So kind of as we discussed, some of those common points that are often impacted by traditional booking errors are the financial impact because of the higher freight rates. Again, if you have to take a tariff rate because you booked it incorrectly, because you don't have the port pair in your contract, or it's going via a different port of load, you're going to be paying a higher rate. It's very rare that you will be paying the same rate or a much lower rate, because that you're now in a different market, different time. Also, the loss of business, or if you have to absorb the additional cost of a cargo due to delays. If customers, because of the delays, decide that you have to eat the shipping costs, or they don't want to take the shipment because it's too late, then ultimately you're either absorbing that and giving it to them free, or you're giving them a huge discount. There's even unexpected charges that can occur from the booking errors, such as storage charges, trucker fees, due to the loss of like free time terms that you have. For particular contract services, rates, you might have particular terms, and if it's booked incorrectly, those terms can be gone, and you're going to see a lot of unexpected charges pop up. It's also possible, customs holds can happen from the incorrect filings due to the inaccuracy of the data that's being booked, from party information, container information. Many elements within that booking form can impact it, as we know, because there's so many things that have to be filed prior to a shipment is loaded. And then once the shipment's been loaded, what has to be filed before it arrives. So those can happen if the data at the booking level is incorrect. Also, you can be hit with additional charges, right? Such as like container repositioning fees by the ocean carriers, because again, if it's booked by incorrect routing, and you decide you have to make a change when it's already been loaded onto the vessel, those carriers will charge you, depending on where the container is located, every time that container has to be repositioned to be put onto the vessel so that it can be discharged at a particular port. And finally, it's going to impact your bottom line, because if you have to cancel your entire shipment, then you're either losing that business or eating that entire container, entire shipment. So this all happens every day for some of you, and it might happen more often than you'd like. For others, that may not be as familiar with these problems, it still can. And as you can see, there's a lot of different examples we can kind of go through to illustrate the problems from the errors, but I just want to highlight, just some of the more key ones that our customers have experienced and that we've seen. So routing is probably the #1 issue from a booking error. Either if your booking agent or your shipper books the incorrect service, which might have a special rate or a particular terms, or if they choose the wrong transshipment port or port of discharge, all this impacts your routing, which will impact your entire shipment path. It can impact the rates, it can create delays, the free time, custom, all of it. So the routing is huge. And if you don't have a booking process that can digitally monitor, alert you, make sure these things or minimize these things, then, like I said, the entire path of your shipment can be affected. So if you can capture that through the digital booking and reduce that error, then you can have a smooth shipment. Another thing that we're seeing are the booking statuses, right? The booking statuses during this volatile shipping market, no one can assume that a booking has been confirmed, especially right now. Not knowing in real time if your booking is confirmed or if it is on hold, or worse, if it's been rejected or canceled by the shipper or carrier, all of this unpredictability can throw entire supply chain into chaos. So if you had to make a last minute booking and you told your agent or your shipper, you need to get that container shipped out next week, book on the next available vessel, you give them an idea of which service you want, and you're assuming that they get it done, you can no longer do that, right? Especially now with the number of blank sailings carriers are putting in place, with the number of services that are delayed or less reliable. If you just assume that it's confirmed and you don't have that real-time status, and by the time next week rolls around and you start to realize, oh, it still is pending, or it's been hold, it's been rejected, then it's too late, right? And so it's very, very important to have that status available to you. Another really important one is the shipment data, right? It could be so simple, but the shipment data, if there's any errors in the party information, from like a misspelling to a punctuation error or even abbreviation of a company name, this can really impact the number of elements as your shipment goes down. Because, for example, if you have in your contract a bullet rate for a particular customer, and when you make that booking, or if you have certain free time for that particular customer, and you make that booking and the name is abbreviated or the name has an extra punctuation, and those carriers associate that the exact name to those special terms in their systems, they're not going to match up when the booking's made. And if that happens, then it gets shipped either at a larger rate, or if it arrives, it doesn't have the free time associated. Then you start to have to spend all that time and effort to negotiate and protect and minimize the cost, right? And it's such a simple mistake, but it happens all the time. And so having the digital booking solution to help resolve this is super important, because you don't realize how simple of a mistake it can be and how much of an impact it can have on your shipment. And really, finally, something that's really happening more and more during this time of increased billing sailings is carriers taking bookings that what they're classifying as non-priority bookings, or they're giving you bookings that are subject to roll or change. You know, these really, in my mind, are false bookings that will create a sense that your shipments are booked, but in fact rely entirely on the ocean carrier to decide whether they're going to accept or roll your shipment last minute. Again, this is just adding to more unpredictability for your supply chain. So the question now, right, is how do you digitize your booking today? How do you use the digitalization to solve for some of these problems? And what can you do to help prevent these errors? So as we discussed, many ocean carriers and in fact many companies have already started to respond with web-based, mobile, and other electronic interfaces to provide you a platform to help you plan, process, monitor your shipments anywhere, anytime, right? These solutions are available already through online and mobile platforms, as well as through direct system integrations that will allow, you know, shippers and your partners to really manage your shipments and be able to collaborate with all parties involved. You know, but how do you incorporate these developments in and technology into your processes will really be up to you. But the faster you implement the digital bookings, the better you will be at managing your supply chain. So with some of those issues that we discussed, there are a number of different solutions that you can to take in place. So the main one, the routing, the service issues. You know, one of the biggest things, especially if you log in to the carrier sites, the carrier portals, you know, like MERS or OCL or Evergreen, you'll be able to have templates, preset templates that can already have all that information preset. You can label them however you want, customize them, and prioritize that your agents, your shippers, or whoever's making the bookings follow those templates and follow that procedure that you have set up. And so again, you can create payments through carrier online portals, right? Or you can use third-party solutions like Containers, Ocean booking platform, or even intra booking platforms, and CargoSmart, and even us, BlueX, you know, has the online booking platforms for you to kind of utilize and assign and create for your booking agents, your shippers to use. This templates can kind of also roll into what we are calling, you know, the central booking systems, right? Or centralizing, you know, the centralized booking system. I'll have your address book, your contact information, all of that, all in one go. Central booking systems like Intra, uh, like containers, or even if you want to work with your MBOCC or freight forwarder, you want to look for ones that have a online portal or customer portal that you can access to make the bookings, make these templates, have all of the contact information there, so that all they have to do is just take the information you've inputted in and just reuse it over and over and over again. And of course, BlueX has a central booking system as well that will have all of your party information in there. So you enter it one time, it'll save it, and then you can reuse that information. So again, people won't have to be retyping, rekeying, and making additional mistakes. Like I said, punctuations, misspellings are one of the biggest factors when you have someone inputting and you have multiple people inputting different ones, and that can happen all the time. Finally, uh, there are also contract systems, right? Rate engines, integrations, rate engine management systems like the Catapult International. You have the New York Shipping Exchange. You have BlueX. They have rate systems that can incorporate your rates to allow you to associate the rates to the schedules to make that booking directly. So for someone like Catapult would actually allow you to, they'll absorb all your contracts in to one simple user interface. You'll be able to look at all the rates, make the decision, and then take that rate. And as long as you have Catapult integrating with a particular TMS solution that is integrated directly with the carrier, you'll be able to book that digitally. But you can also use, the contract, the rates that are being offered by the New York Shipping Exchange to just book it directly with the carrier, or someone like BlueX that can incorporate both rates available through providers or your own contract rate, and again, book directly with the carrier. And finally, the most important when you're monitoring and trying to get these statuses is getting the carrier sailing schedules and the carrier booking systems all integrated with you. So whether it's easier to use, the online platforms like the Intra, the CargoSmart, or ourselves like BlueX that have these direct integration with the carrier. So we have the schedules, we have the statuses from them, and we can all incorporate that into your booking. That is another option for you to take a look at. And so it's up to you to decide if you want to be able to incorporate solutions that have it all in one, or if you're going to kind of pick and choose and try to put them together to make the best working model that's going to work for your business. So there's a lot of different options out there, and it's time for you to really take a look and capitalize on them. So really, those are the kind of the basic things that we were mentioning. But how can you optimize? Like, how do you optimize your digital? How do you take it to the second level? And so by integrating your core bookings and the shipment management capabilities to help you create that digital booking system, you'll be able to centralize the accountability and traceability. If you take it another step further, you can program your system with rules and validations to help issue, necessary changes and adjustments to help correct bookings as needed. As we discussed earlier, right? Since the human errors really make up the largest hurdle with today's shipping process, taking the steps to digitize your booking and to help eliminate such concerns by verifying each aspect of the booking before and after it's been made is really going to be how you can optimize this process. So I want to introduce some key elements to consider when you are shifting to the digital booking. First and foremost, you should really register with all the relevant ocean carriers or third-party platforms like BlueX, right, to be able to process your e-bookings and receive the real-time booking statuses. Alternatives would be to work with your NBOs or freight forwarder partners that have, right, a customer-centric portal that's going to allow you to make your online booking request. And you want to make sure that their portal and their systems are integrated with the ocean carriers directly, and they're not rekeying it in to send it to the carriers, because then again, that human element is now getting involved. And no, you should know that right now it's not just those large tier one NVOCCs or freight forwarders like the Expeditors and Kunanagos that have a customer portal. Many of the medium-sized forwarders are investing in these solutions, and they are also already integrated with a number of different ocean carriers. So this is a step that many of the companies are taking. So what is the next level of being able to optimize your booking? So some of the things that we suggest that you should take a look at and invest in. One is if you have the ability, you have the technology and the support, is to directly integrate with ocean carriers, or at least with the third-party platforms like BlueX, like Intra, like CargoSmart. If you're able to integrate with these parties, then you're going to be able to directly send and receive bookings, and you're going to get that in real time and get those messages back in real time. And because they're directly integrated, whatever the carrier's systems are seeing, you're going to be able to see. Another element you should really take a look at and invest in is a rate management system that will help you analyze, compare your ocean freight rates, sailing schedule information, surcharge, all within one user interface, and making sure that that system integrates directly into your booking, so that really it gets all the rates that you want, it manages it, you can sort it, and then it matches up to carrier data that has schedules and transit time, so that you can make the decision and then you make that booking. So that will allow you to do it all in one seamless process. It will simplify a lot of the parties involved and hopefully reduce a lot of the potential mistakes. Enhancing your system to use this type of rate engine and getting carrier data, such as like available inventory, cutoff time, departure times, and being able to book it directly from your computer, or your agent able to book it directly from your system, will save and reduce many of the errors. It's going to speed up your shipments, make better communication, and really it's going to be able to allow all of your processes to simplify. And there's a lot of different ways to also add for the optimal booking solution. But if you're able to just take a few of these steps to optimize your current booking process, you really will create a seamless booking handling process that will not only track easily and reduce manual bookings, but it can provide you with instant updates and changes that's going to help enhance your forecasting. So now, if you do follow these rules and you start to digitize, it's going to make an unreliable logistics environment a little bit more predictable. And what I want to leave you is with some of our thoughts on the focus of your digital booking strategy. If you're now considering, what digital booking method works best for you, these are just some of the key points that you should consider when you're looking at the solution, right? So one is system integration. Just beyond the traditional online bookings, you really should require partners to be able to integrate with your own, transportation management system or your own internal system, right? The company should be able to transmit the data from a booking back into your system, so that you can use that information and be able to better manage your shipment. I mean, that goes into the point two, which is really visibility and analytics, right? By incorporating all of that booking data that you get back into your system and in real time, you're going to be able to have and develop, data-driven exception predictions and system alerts, right, to help you handle anything that comes up, right, and help you plan and forecast better. The companies with digital services, or if you don't want to invest in the system and you partner again with NVOs and forwarders, you want to look for companies that have digital services that allow you to use a customer portal that's going to help you generate rules, create and monitor your shipments and your bookings and be able to react immediately all through that portal. And finally, one of the biggest elements when you're looking at, transporting your current process into this digital booking process is, if whether you're doing it yourselves, you're working with an ocean carrier, working with MVOCC or freight forwarder, is to look for a customer-centric solution, customer-centric partner. They should be having all these basic solutions already, but have a greater scope of different value-added services, digital services, that's focused on you, and be able to create these digital services that will give you a larger or better booking and shipment transparency, so that you are not as limited as to what you are today in seeing what's happening with your booking, and if everything is running smoothly. So I know that traditional forwarders will always be around, but you need to partner with companies that have already started to digitalize. So it's no longer just the best practice to book at the lowest freight rate available. In fact, booking with an ocean carrier or forwarder that has fully digitized their offerings will really position your operations and shipments at a distinct advantage. We believe that over the course of the next few years, not only do you need a partner with carriers and forwarders that are fully digitized, but you yourself will have to start to utilize technology solutions offered by those neutral digital marketplaces. These digital marketplaces are going to allow shippers to search for cargo space from providers like ocean carriers and or even freight forwarders, and allow you to book directly from the platform and be able to feed all that data back to you into your own systems. This format will really enable you to book capacity online immediately and at an all-in given rate. So it's going to give a lot more transparency. It's going to make your day-to-day operations much more visible to you, but all parties, and hopefully protect you from any errors, which will result in, again, higher costs or delays. So really, to sum it all up, these technologies that we've been talking about will allow you to be more in control of your shipments, right? And through the digitalization of booking your cargo, looking up rates, getting quotes online, this can only empower you to improve your entire supply chain efficiency. And I just want to leave you with a quote by a CMA exec, which is, you should start to create the possibility to experience 100% digital journey. Okay, so that's what I have for today. I will open it up now to any questions that customers or that you might have.